Hello and welcome back to another episode of the Everyday Strong podcast. And this week, I'm going to continue on with some kind of conversations and things that have been coming up um, with clients, but also my own thoughts when I suppose you're talking to people and different conversations that come up. And like that, I suppose, again, back to kind of trying to help with a little bit of perspective change, mindset shift, and anything practical that I can add. So I suppose everyone thinks that the starting into your fitness or getting back into the fitness, which is again, majority of people I deal with or work with, should I say, um, that they're starting to feel like that's the hardest part. And to a point it is because there's again, depending on context and where they've come from, there can be a lot of background stuff going on. But in the grand scheme of things, it is the easy part. And I think it's the easy part because you gotta think of the starting back for a long-term process. And I think that's where people get so much pressure on themselves at the start because they gotta need the right time, they need the right program, they need the right environment, the right gym, the right nutrition plan. Whereas starting is just starting. It's how you're going to continue that on once they start. Because like that, what I find is, and again, I will say, I even find like the training, in terms of training and nutrition, the training is the easier part because you can go in the gym, you do your session, you feel good after it, it feels productive, you're doing something physical, and you can feel like you've done something. But then, like that, over time, uh, it's the managing of that because again, there's the buzz at the start and there's the buzz with getting going and the bit of motivation and all that comes with that. But a question I like to ask people is, right, okay, well, where does this fit in 3, 6, 12 months down the line and beyond when you've got to deal with life and real life and what's going on? So again, the starting point is literally just getting started. It's how you're going to continue it on for the long term is the hardest part or the harder part. And as I said, it's down the line when life happens, things happen, and I suppose it's shifting that mindset from you're only doing this for an X period of time, uh, whatever, but it's how you continue it on after that when there is busier periods of work or family life, social occasions, holidays, different things like that, that you're still within what you would like to have a healthier or a fitness or a feeling stronger lifestyle would look like. Because to continue on after the first initial kind of first couple of weeks where you're settling into things and finding your flow with things it requires lifestyle shifts. Like it's not just the training program or the nutrition program. Um, Things have to shift and change a little bit and mindsets and how you approach things a little bit so that it's a continuum. And I suppose I like to give the example of weight loss or fat loss. And again, when everyone says, yeah, I like to lose some weight, in essence, what they're saying is they want to lose some body fat. Um, so fat loss. And people think, and it is, fat loss is hard because it's has to be done within real life situations and every individual, how they will approach it is far different. Um, but again, I would say that the maintaining of a weight loss or a fat loss is actually where your work really starts. And I know that can be a bit hard to hear because like that you go through a process of fat loss or weight loss because like that you have to make changes and lifestyle changes to accommodate and do that. But you need to be able to continue them on in some capacity. Um, so like that, if you've had to make changes with your nutrition in terms of meal structure or the way you eat or even the way you see food and the way you talk about food, that has to can change and continue on. Um, like not in the terms of a calorie deficit, but in a return of, well, maintaining what you have for the long term. And that's may seem a bit monotonous and boring because, well, it is. It's the unspectacular, repetitive stuff that you have to be able to do after the goal. So like that, to me, that is the where the work is um after the event, after the fat loss, after the running the marathon, after the whatever the goal is that you wanted to achieve, that you can maintain some form of those habits or behaviors long term. Because as I said, it's not just the training program or the gym program or whatever, it's everything else around it. And again, this is where overwhelm can come in for a lot of people because again, we have these checklists of so amount of steps a day, we got to get 8 hours sleep, we got to eat so much protein, we got to eat so much whatever. Um, and it's a big overwhelm and it's a lot to take on and accommodate for people when like they're trying to improve and get better. But this is where at the start, the training is, I say, it's the easier part because it you get a return. You can feel, you can and an edge you will see and you're doing something and it feels productive. So that's where I generally would say to get most people started is to get a training routine or a training setup that will accommodate your life when things get busy and your life when things are just cruising and they're just easy. Um, and then one by one start looking at the other, I suppose, lifestyle habits or behaviors that may need to be changed. Whether like that, sleep is a difficult one for people depending on situations, family, work, night shifts, all that kind of stuff. But again, there can be small improvements made, um, where possible. Nutrition again, and this is a big one I find with people is it's a harder thing for people to initially change because it's more so about your habits and behaviors and the things you're having to change may not seem so grand in the terms of a training program, going in lifting weights, moving weight on a machine, going out for a run. They feel like very productive things. Where changes in nutrition may not, but in the long term they are. Because with your nutrition, it's going to be more how it makes you feel, more energy, better digestion, and just feeling better in yourself, healthier. And again, we can come down to a health level, blood markers, things like that, all these things encompassing. And it's looking to do those things one thing at a time rather than a massive overwhelm. So that's why I think and why I kind of say to clients, yeah, let's for the first few weeks focus on your training and those changes. Because yeah, we can start to see and feel some really big benefits off of that. And again, you're getting into learning the skills of lifting, which I talk about a lot. Um, the practicing of that before we worry about, anything else, practicing those movement patterns and just getting that up to speed. And it becomes the easier part for people. And then it's the nutrition part or everything else outside that then that can gradually be put in piece by piece, bit by bit, that then you're kind of building this overall lifestyle in terms of your health and fitness. Because again, I think at the end of the day, people forget the health in health and fitness, that should be the priority, that you feel better and that you're doing something positive for yourself. And that's not to be lost in the grand scheme of things either. Because like that, it's very easy to look at, and again, look, let's use the social media as an example, and you see the before and after pictures and, those sort of things. But what about the after picture? Do you know what's the 6, 12 months, 18 months, 2 years look like down the line? Are you still doing the little things that are uh keeping you feeling and I'm going to say performing for everyday life as how you want it to be? And again, it won't always be uh, a linear approach. It will shift as life happens. And again, where people are willing to make the changes needed that are necessary. Because again, I often find people talk about wanting to make changes and they talk about wanting to lose the bit of weight or lose the bit of body fat. but the saying and doing are two different things, and to get those things, there has to be action. We can talk all day about perfect programs and perfect calorie splits and this, that, and the other, but it will always come down to action. And that's then where the real achievement is, and that long-term approach. And you don't see, you just maybe see a screenshot in time of a before and after of a 6, 8, 12 week time frame. But what about everything else after that? And again, as I said, this is where I feel like the maintaining is the harder part. Okay, the initial starting, yes, there will be some hurdles to overcome, there will be some friction, but like that, and like the way I approach things with people is, we want to try and make this as simple, repeatable, enjoyable as possible. That you get a buzz from going in doing your sessions. You get a buzz from feeling better because, oh, I'm eating more, maybe, or I'm eating the nutrition I need to support the stuff that I need in terms of, again, like I like to say, life performance, which is the work, the family life, the demand, the stresses of that's life performance, but also then your health and fitness performance goals, what you want to achieve inside the gym or within training and that kind of stuff. So that's the whole scope of a lifestyle approach, that I think people get so hung up on the starting point that yes, we need to get over that initial hurdle, but how can you maintain and what can you build in a lifestyle capacity for yourself that will help you in the long term, that you can keep doing. This time next year, if I have the same conversation with a client again or with somebody again, and they've made changes, are you still there? And again, things can come and go for people. It's never always all in all the time. But it's some level of a continuum of those behavior changes and mindset shifts. So just to wrap this up again, maybe a little bit of ramblings. For me, I'm kind of just hitting record on these, and I have a few topics in my head, but I just kind of go with them, and wherever my thoughts kind of go. Um, yes, starting is hard, and that's not to change is difficult. Change is hard, and that's to be appreciated. But I think people overwhelm themselves way too much in what they think they need to do at the start to actually start making some changes. It doesn't need to be as big shifts as people think. And again, like the goal is never just to get fit or to lose that weight. The goal is to stay fit and maintain that body weight loss or that fat loss. You know, that's what we're looking to achieve overall. And it's to build those habits from the very beginning that are sustainable enough that you can continue them long term. Because like that, as I said, 3 months, 6 months, 12 months down the line, can you still be doing these things in terms of, I suppose, the baseline level of habits and behaviors with training, with nutrition, with just your lifestyle in general? And like that, you take time out and time away and you incorporate it into life, that it's an enjoyable aspect of everything you do. Um, because like that, it has to become health, and like as I said, health is lifestyle choices, and ultimately I would hope everyone wants to feel a level of be in a healthy position, whether that's with body fat, whether that's with uh, blood markers, whether that's whatever the case may be. We all want to feel fit and healthy and good in ourselves. Um, so like that, I think long term, that's where the mindset shift needs to be. So just to wrap this up, again, any questions, any feedback on something like this, glad to have a chat through. And again, I have some simple free resources to help people, again, on this first step that then you can continue on with within training and within nutrition. So there's two links will be here in this description, or you can message me. My simple strength starter, which is basic strength movement patterns to get you started, to know what to do in the gym, uh, to set you up, to set up the foundations for long term. Again, the habit first. and the skills first. And as well, the nutrition baseline, which is basically looking at the habits and behaviors outside of the nutrition first, becoming more aware of what's going on in your day to day, before you start worrying about changing anything with the actual nutrition, the food intake is what does my baseline lifestyle look like at the minute and where can I make some adjustments there and kind of the common things I see that people need to change or need help changing with. So those are there. And again, any questions, happy to chat. You'll find me on Instagram and we'll chat again soon.